some opposition.
Okay. I'm gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Best case scenario on the proposition which won't happen if what they will say to the aliens. We give you freedom of speech, but you will have I won't guarantee you freedom after speech. But then yeah, 4 points of framing. Firstly, O never gives you a positive case that is actually reasonable because economic is very minor within this debate. But then secondly, they only talk about aliens being vulnerable. They never every team never tells you the mechanism on how they will win, on how they will get those kinds of impacts even from government itself. But then secondly, CG lacks mechanism, they never show you why they can win, hence the prerequisite of them getting those kinds of impacts are missing in the first place. But then thirdly, why proposition will guarantee you a war in turn? A, armed resistance exists on the spectrum. Most likely humans are irrational and will attack first. Firstly, first hit, first benefit mechanism that diplomats will give for you so they can attack in the first place. But then secondly, they don't know what kind of invasion they're looking at, even when they're prepared. That is to say, when they have the first hit, first benefit attack, they're going to do it directly because they don't know what kind of information they're going to, so hence they're irrational in the first place. But then B, you prioritize defending yourself rather than trying to be a form of diplomatic agreement. That is to say, you're going to have a whole battalion or a war army just for them, waiting on the ground, waiting for them to arrive. That is to say, the aliens perceive it as a direct threat for them, hence why they're going to war with you in the first place. But then C, even if you don't buy these kinds of things that aliens will feel triggered, threatened, or will retaliate because of fear of humans, we tell you that it's still likely because the fact that they don't want their population to vanish or die and trying to so hard to make a spaceship that fit every one of their population. We're going to tell you that these kinds of threats will enact them to have use these kinds of war weapons, technological things because they're desperate. That is to say, because their only option is Earth, there will be no deterrence, hence OG loses in this case. But then yeah, D, international organizations are dominated by first world countries. That is to say, third world countries won't have any kind of voice within these kind of democratic things to fight these kinds of aliens, hence why it's very bad for these kinds of vulnerable actors. But then yeah, two issues. Firstly, where you're gonna get help from aliens, but secondly, why humans are likely to lose, hence making government lose hold. First reason on first issue then, why they're not likely to attack, which is more charitable than OO. A, we tell you that they're civilized aliens, but let's talk about how the approach for these aliens to humans before arriving happens in the movie beforehand. Two things. Firstly, these kinds of NPCs or aliens that live there actually greets them and helps humans in the alternate world in theirs. For example, showing three-body problem, the climate changes and their intentions. Hence why you're going to have know what are the intentions and what this is why diplomatic agreements are going to be likely to achieve in the first place. But then secondly, not only that, you can see that these kinds of infrastructure, the hierarchy of the peaceful things from these kinds of aliens are more likely for you to perceive aliens to be more civilized. But then B, they want Earth as a good planet just to stay, because obviously they came to Earth to seek shelter. Hence why they don't get competitive, where there is nuclear bombs when you threaten aliens with your kind of defensive measures. But then C, why won't they overtake Earth as CG says? One simple reason, because you already have their experience and their technological advancements in the long run. Most likely, that is to say, it's easier for you to kill them using their own technology, which is better than from the get-go trying to kill them. But then yeah, second reason on why aliens will help in the first place. Technology, that sustains Earth. Two things here. A, we tell that because aliens are civilized, they're more likely to help humanity. That is to say, because they're probably given they probably give present to society because they're civilized in a manner. But then B, we tell you that technology is likely to be good because they have lived through these unpredictable climate changes. Most likely they can cater to the most urgent matter within humanity itself, which is social climate change, right? That is to say, we give you the reason why it's urgent for these kinds of aliens to be and help us in the first place. They don't solve climate change. They will solve climate change because they have the techniques to adapt, because even if they don't solve climate change, at least we can still sustain our whole humanity to live through climate change itself. But then thirdly, technology to expand Earth, that is to say, because they can go through planets and live in other planets, we give you a reason why they can help us solve overpopulations by expanding the domains in Earth. We tell you why they can probably sustain our life in Mars and etc. etc. Hence we give you a reason why aliens will help society, rather which is way better than what proposition is most likely to pushing, which is aliens trying to kill humans to solve overpopulation. This is why it's more charitable. But then fourthly, why are technological advancements going to be good in the first place? Because you form a good diplomatic operations, aliens are going to go with human guidance and try to cater human needs with their own technological advancements. Second issue on why humans are going to lose in the first place. That is why government cannot win. Yeah, sure. For that.
How are you sure that they won't resort to offense in general? How can you prove that they won't just go kill every human on site or even half humans, since because of the fact that they have no incentive to do so for humans, because of the fact that they're so technology advanced and will prepare weapons, so why not use like nuclear arms then?
Firstly, I tell you they're civilized. Secondly, this is their only way. Thirdly, they want a good Earth. That is why they won't attack us in the first place. But then, yeah, three things on why humans are likely to lose. Firstly, even if they attack, four reasons here. A, they probably prepare beforehand, leading to use invasive methods aside from diplomatic, just like their first things, like diplomatic operations. This is why they are likely to prepare for war in the first place. Hence, why technological, like war things are going to happen, and you're going to lose in the first place. But then, B, there is nothing you can do with an interstellar that has interstellar tech where you can travel the galaxy. Even if humans innovate within the 400 years you have, we are likely to say that it's symmetric. Innovation happens in both sides where aliens are likely to develop in their own spaceships anyways. And then C, they have climate change adaptations. This is why you're likely to lose anyways. D, this is why OG won't get any bargaining power, or why CG won't win at all, because they never tell you how they're going to win, hence why they lose. But then, no. Second reason, even if you succeed, the impact to humanity because of the war is still going to be bad. Three different impacts you're going to get. A fractured society. That is to say, you're going to have humans who side with aliens and do sort of like cultist stuff. That is to say, sacrificing their life because they think that these Trisolarans can save them from humanity. But then B, the post-war effect that you're going to get. That is to say, the impact of bombing, nuclear war, and fighting out these Trisolarans. Hence why you're going to get a bad quality of life for citizens. Why? Because they are also a form of collateral damage that gets taken place within the war itself. This is likely because aliens are going to bomb like maybe the Kiev, maybe Jakarta, and so on and so on. That's why citizens are likely to be impacted. But then C, the passive harm you get aside from these active harm of like harming citizens. That is to say, climate change probably increases anyways because nuclear and bombings obviously create environmental change and environmental problem in the first place. But then, yeah, the third reason on why we will. Even if you don't get tech improvements, we give you the likelihood reason, or when you don't get impacted by these kinds of harms, that you give citizens the impact from the get-go, which is like them getting demolished by these kinds of aliens. That's why we tell you that even if they don't, even if you don't get tech improvements, at least you don't die from the get-go. But the second reason, at least we mitigate these kinds of harms that is brought by CG, or they're going to overtake overtake us in the long run. That is to say, because we have technological advancements, we're going to fight them better, and we're going to sustain human life better. That's why we propose.